Today we're going to do Chile Relleno Casserole. I love Chile Rellenos, but this is going to be a little different variation. I'm going to adapt a recipe.
Hello, I'm Karalee.
And I'm Charles.
We're an old married couple who enjoys traveling, cooking, and having adventures.
Together we enjoy all the wonderful things the world has to offer.
Join us as we discover the wonder about us. Chin chin.
My mom's recipe calls for a lot of eggs, and sometimes it's just more like scrambled eggish. And so I did a lot of research on the internet, and I found a recipe, and then I'm going to adapt that recipe, even though this is the first time I'm making it. So go ahead and take your 9x13 pan. I pre-sprayed it. Just go ahead and coat it good, and then you're gonna use whole chilies. You can use whole chilies. You can use fresh chilies. You can use diced chilies, whatever you like. I happen to have these in the pantry. You can see there's a sale price on them. I lots of times will shop the what do you call it? The clearance section. What do you call it?
The bargain bin.
Yeah, because a lot of times when things are coming up close to expiration dates, or maybe the manufacturer has changed the label, they'll mark it down, and there's nothing wrong with it. And so I sometimes will go ahead and do that just so I get that. Because if you don't have a can opener that opens the way this one just did, this happens to be a Pampered Chef one, do that, because then you have no sharp edges on the can. See, I could run my hand along here and not cut it at all. So it's the best thing ever. So you're gonna take if you're gonna take I'm gonna leave these whole. No, I'm gonna split them. Oh, that knife's in the dishwasher. Let me get one of this stuff. Oh no, I'm gonna get this. I was thinking about leaving them whole first, but then I thought, well, when you have a chili relleno at the restaurant, they're stuffed, so I'm gonna go ahead and split them. Because I'm not gonna take the time to stuff them. So if you're using fresh chilies, you'll want to roast them first. And that's why most of us gringos don't do fresh chilies, because it's extra work. But you can either, if you got a gas stove, you can either just flip them over on the gas stove. You can brown them on a barbecue, but then you're going to have to put them in water and peel them, and so they're a little bit more work. That's where you get this the crusted, the roasted. Yeah. Because you want to peel them. But so I'm just going to go ahead and put a layer in here, and you kind of want to alternate them, because one end of the chili. Oops, that one you don't have to worry about. One end of the chili is of course fatter than the other end of the chili. We were talking about something else. So anyway, so you can use any type of chili. When I was a kid, they used to make chili rellenos with Anaheim chilies, which is a very, very mild chili. And then they started using poblanos. I don't really care for the texture of the poblano chili, but that's what all the restaurants are using today. Do you have any idea why they switched, Charles?
Probably availability, or
when the question is, it's always money, right?
Yeah, exactly. When the question is why, the answer is always money. Yeah,
so it's probably the cost or availability, like Charles said. So these are just the whole roasted chilies. These look more like Anaheims than poblanos. They don't really tell you what they are.
They say green chili.
Yeah. And I'm putting more chilies than they say, because like I said, only 2 cans, and this is only 1 layer, so.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot.
No, but I'm gonna get some more chili, some else on top. So you put your chilies in, and then you're gonna put, I think the cheese comes next. Let's see what the directions say here. Yeah, so I wanted both. It calls for Monterey Jack and cheddar cheese. I use this melted Mexican blended cheese, which is I can't say those cheeses.
Cotija?
Yes, and queso. So it has a couple different, and then it has some jack in it also. I always buy the pre-shredded. I used to buy the big blocks and then put it in the food processor to shred it. But anymore, they don't charge you that much more to do the shredded cheese, and it's really convenient. And we're always looking for shortcuts in the kitchen. This Costco brown cheddar cheese, I always usually get the sharp one. It's a really good cheese. This is what a third of the cost of the Tillamook.
Yeah.
And it's a good cheese. So we're gonna put
Oftentimes store brands are the same as name brands. They just get a discount on them because they buy it whole.
I'm gonna grab cat chili while you're talking about that.
Okay.
So like you said, like Charles is telling you. So our stove is actually a GE monogram, but the year that GE bought that stove, it was a Wolf, and I was looking at the Wolves when we remodeled the kitchen, and I thought, wow, that's a lot of money for, and then I just happened to look at the GE monogram, and I'm like, wait, that's the same stove. And the same thing with our refrigerator. That particular year, I can never remember the name of it.
Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero. The Sub-Zero was right next to it, and I was looking at it, and I was like, this looks like the same refrigerator. And then the salesman, he was nice enough to say, it is. He says Sub-Zero's making these this year, and so I saved a ton of money on that. And so some people have to have their brand name, and other people are like, it's okay, I just want, go for, I say, instead of looking at the label, go for what you want. In this case, I wanted the certain features on the stove. I have a gas top, an electronic oven, and then I have two ovens. One of the ovens is a convection oven, and the other one is a proofing oven. So I have all these features, and then we also have a griddle on it. And so we got the features that we wanted, not the name brand. Okay. Doesn't look like very much food. This looks like it should go in 8x8 pan instead. But it's gonna fluff up. Okay, so we've got the layer, the half a pound. I just made a mess. Layer sprinkle with half the cheese and cover it with the remaining. Okay, so I did do it right. Okay, so now we're going to. Did you put my egg away?
I didn't.
I had 2 eggs out. I think you might have used them for breakfast.
No, I used 2 eggs. I got out my own 2 eggs for breakfast. So we're having some company come into town, and so we're trying to get things kind of pre-made so we can visit with the family. And so earlier today, I made meatloaf. So the timer's going to go off here. About 9 seconds here. So it's a good idea to check the temperature of your meatloaf. I have, you can use any kind of thermometer. I happen to have this Pampered Chef one that works really good. It's nice because the probe tucks away. I'll turn that off, sorry. Okay. And so beef medium rare is 135 and medium well is 155. I'm gonna want something, anything, so I could actually pull this out because it's gonna continue cooking or when we heat it reheat. Okay. And then my oven's already hot, so it's gonna be good for what I'm making now. Okay, so I need 2 eggs. You want to talk about brown eggs, Charles? There's no difference between brown eggs and white eggs. It's the color of the shell. They just happen. We buy our eggs at the 99-cent store, and they just happen to have brown eggs this time around.
It's the first time I've seen brown eggs at the 99-cent store.
They usually charge you extra for them, so there's no sense of doing extra. Always crack your egg in a separate container, because that way if you get a shell in there, it's easier to dish out. It's also easier to see the shell.
Or if you get a bad egg.
And so I just got a shell in here. You don't see bad eggs hardly anymore, but occasionally, yeah. And if you're lucky enough to live in the country where you can buy eggs from someone or you have eggs yourself, then you do know that you do see bad eggs more frequently because they haven't gone through all the testing that the U.S. does now. Okay, so what's this say here? Mix together eggs. Now this is interesting. So my mom's recipe calls for 6 eggs. Okay, like a month ago, eggs were like $6.86 or something, almost $7 a dozen. So you're like, oh, I'm not making quiche, or I'm not making it. So this recipe calls for 2 eggs and a small can of evaporated milk. I didn't even know they made these little tiny 5-ounce cans of evaporated milk. You want to make sure you shake it up well. I think this is going to make it fluffier. The first time I had homemade chili rellenos, my mother-in-law made them, and she lived on a farm, so we went out and got the eggs, and then she whipped them up, and I think she put a little bit of milk in them, I don't know, so she made a real fluffy egg batter, and then she put the egg batter down, we put the stuffed chili on it, and then we put some more egg batter on top, and we fried it in just a little bit of oil on the frying pan. We don't get them like that anymore. Sometimes at the store, not at the store, but at the restaurant, it tastes like they're really they're dipping them in flour batter. So I kind of wanted, to make sure that this was nice and fluffy and not that flour batter thing. So we got the 2 eggs in here, the evaporated milk, and I think something else goes in here too. Evaporated milk, I got flour, and I got to get milk, regular milk. So, because this is still going into the same thing, I can put this milk in the same container that I cracked the egg in. But is it half a cup, Charles? Otherwise, you wouldn't want to use the same thing that you just put your egg in. And there's another little tiny shell in it, so this wasn't too good. 2 shells. Those brown eggs, they make little tiny shells.
That's weird.
Yeah, they were like the size of a grain of black pepper. So it's been a long time. The last time I had brown eggs were right off my mother-in-law's farm. Okay, so and then we need 2 tablespoons of flour, I believe it is. Yep, this is 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Most people have all-purpose flour in the house. As you guys know, I'm supposed to be gluten-free, so gluten and grain-free. So I'm going to use tapioca flour. And I'm just going to kind of shake it and make it, I'm all about not dirtying too many dishes. Okay, so I'm going to stir this up. I'm just going to use this spatula rather than getting a whisk out here. Oh, I should have read. It says a half a cup of milk, or how much you want to use to thin it. Well, since I've never made it, I'm going to have to get the whisk because that flour won't.
You want to get some air in there too.
So it says to consistency. Well, I don't know what consistency. I've never made this before. So. I've actually never made a Chile Relleno Casserole. My mom makes it. But sometimes it tastes more like scrambled eggs. The only time I've ever made them is the way my mother-in-law made them from scratch, with frying them in the pan. So we're gonna go ahead and put this on top. This doesn't look like enough either. And then this says bake for about 25 minutes, and then it's gonna pour tomato sauce on top. I'm not gonna put tomato sauce on top. I'm gonna put enchilada green sauce on top. I don't want to add all those chilies, so I'm not gonna. You think that's enough chilies, don't you, Charles?
Yeah.
Probably. Should I add a little bit?
Add more. More is always better, right?
So I think I'm gonna, I think that's good. I think that's enough cheese. Okay, so now this is gonna go in the oven for 25 minutes, and then when it comes out, I'm gonna put the enchilada sauce on it, and then it's gonna bake for 15 more minutes. So, and then it says turn the broiler on. I'm not gonna turn the broiler on because I put it in an ovenware piece that can't go in the broiler. But it's just to get the cheese melted on top, to get it crispy. So I could do a blowtorch real fast if I think it needs it, but I don't think it's gonna need it. I make sure this is the same temperature as the meatloaf, and it is. We'll come back soon. So we just pulled this out of the oven. The recipe calls for 8 ounces of tomato sauce. I'm gonna use green enchilada sauce instead, because when I have my chili rellenos at the restaurant, I like to have them green instead of red. This has a little different flavor to it. And so instead of just plain tomato sauce, I'm going to use this. So you could use, I
It's
guess
basically tomatillo sauce instead of tomato
I
sauce.
didn't go all the way around, so now I'm in trouble. All right, that time it went all the way around. And this can opener also has this little thing that grabs the lid, which is very, very nice. So I'm gonna, and it says for 8 ounces, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this. This is a 10-ounce can, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this whole thing on. No such thing as too much sauce. Sometimes I go to a restaurant and it's like, where's my sauce? I think an 8-ounce can would have been too short. That covered it just quite nicely. So now it's gonna go back in the oven for 15 minutes, I think. Yeah, back in the oven for 15 more minutes. Okay, check back soon. Okay, so our 15 minutes is up, so let's see how fantastic this looks. Really doesn't look much different than what I put in.
It's a little more glossy.
A little bit glossy. I think, and then now I'm gonna let this cool because I remember I'm making this ahead of time because I have family coming in. So we've got our meatloaf and we've got this. So we've got several meals here. So I'm gonna let this cool in section. I think this is probably gonna absorb and go in when we get ready to eat it. I'll show you a slice, or I should say a piece, because it's gonna be a piece like a piece of pie of Chile Relleno Casserole. Look forward to seeing you soon. So our Chile Relleno Casserole has come out of the oven. That's Jamie. You're not supposed to show her, Jamie. And so it plated up quite nicely. We've just added a salad to it. You could have refried beans. You could have rice. And so we're getting ready to eat it. Regina, would you like to come do a sample? No, she didn't hear me. So I'm going to go ahead and, ouch, get a fork here and taste how this is. Looks really good. It's going to be hot. It's pretty darn good. It's really, really, really good. It doesn't have as much of that egg batter. Remember, we use the evaporated milk. I think a recipe with more egg might be more traditional than this, but this is very, very good. Thank you.